seemingly we have forgotten that many of the tools that have worked in the past against this champion still exist. We are B1ing away happily, and I'm just hoping that, you know, Malphite we've already seen. Ziggs is another great example. There are tools that have dealt with how strong this champion can be. Obviously, the recent item changes really benefiting him, and even with the nerfs towards his core items on 13-11, just ditch Stormrazor, pick up the new and improved Kraken Slayer, and still be on your merry way. Although right now, look at
these
that
bans
Atlas.
are glorious. I mean, I didn't want to interrupt you, but oh man, look at this. Yumi taken away, Cassante taken away, Melio taken away. Oh,
it's B1
gorgeous. It is going to be B1 Aphelios, I would agree. Unless Henna wants to go to his Zeri, which I do believe is a catastrophic mistake, but he does really like the champion.
He's a great Zeri, but the Aphelios is the strongest carry in the meta at the moment, and also it's
Gumayusi's best champion.
Yeah, so it's a double whammy, and there is no super straightforward 1-2, right? We've had a lot of drafts where basically it always gets answered at this point with Melio and or Yumi. Not going to be the case here. You can go Zeri Lulu. I do like a Lulu pick away, but instead it's going to be the Rakan and
ooh, an avian
double bird.
This is very avian, isn't it? We're going to need an Anivia. We need a Quinn. We need a Swain. And then you work out where they're going.
Zaya.
And then it's... No, Zaya isn't a bird. Rakan's the bird. Yeah, actually, no, she isn't.
She has
but I don't...
feathers. What is she, a dinosaur? I
just feel like Quinn and Valor are more birdie. Okay?
They are more birdie, yeah.
That's all I'm saying. It reminds me of Conker's Bad Fur Day. Oh, what a time to be alive. Anyway, Aphelios and Ahri, we're sticking to the A's here on Brionne. I take that all away, as Sejuani is being considered here as well. Picking Ahri into Faker's Azir is a choice you could make. Over to you.
I don't love it for obvious reasons. The Ahri has not been necessarily great because you don't have that much kill threat into the Azir, even with the early laning phase being somewhat neutered. We also know that the main benefit that Ahri provides is how she can play out in the mid game, and already, like, looking into what T1 have, threatening the backline is going to be very difficult, and with the Zaya, which was kind of a no-brainer, even more so. The go buttons are there for Brionne though, and I'm wondering whether T1 is going to just straight up ban Nautilus here, because Lulu also makes sense. Obviously, Aphelios Lulu is really good, but not into the Zaya Rakan necessarily, although a Nautilus ult can force out the Zaya ult very easily, which creates a lot more space for the backline. But Aphelios Naut is a great combo, and like Nautilus, Ahri, and Sejuani gives Brionne a lot of go buttons, and I think Brionne do look their scariest when they have a composition that kind of plays themselves. We know that they can match in team fights if their comp allows it, and we'll see whether T1 feels the same way.
And also, Umpty, remember, like, he gets so much value out of Sejuani and doesn't even need to skill her ultimate. So this is going to be...
He did make that tweet. It's the best tweet.
It is actually...
I think of the split in the LCK.
Umpty's Twitter is actually an absolute banger. Really good stuff. And yeah, he did let us know that you just don't even need ultimate to be amazing at Sejuani.
Is it Maokai?
Wouldn't mind a Maokai ban here. As Nocturne is...
Oh, yeah, there is a lot of dive already, and it is a champion that Oner does love to play. As mentioned, Oner has somewhat struggled. What will be his answer here into the Sejuani?
I love this.
We don't know. This is, I agree, a really nice R4, because we already know Brionne is playing a dash-heavy short-range comp, and this is a flex pick. If Brionne opts into a counter matchup, right, you can still flex it towards the jungle. Oner definitely can play the champion, but otherwise...
Prevents Sejuani Jack's synergy, theoretically as well, just because Poppy is so incredibly good into... Oh, never mind. Doesn't prevent it. It just means that it's not going to be very good.
5 blue champions versus 5...
Yeah, it is a lot of blue champions.
Like,
Effort is hovering Susan, but he always hovers Susan. We have to remember.
Maybe it's fall colors on the right side. Nautilus to me will make a lot of sense here.
Somewhat expecting that, as that's a set. That would be an interesting one. Tahm Kench is another option, and they are going to lock that one away. So Bro have picked champions. T1, what are they going to lock away here as the final option? I expect the Poppy to be going to the top lane, but they, I think, could pretty happily play something like Cannon. You know, there are loads of things. Like, you just, like Gragas, totally fine. Totally fine.
AP Gragas, I quite like here. adds another threat, makes it a lot harder to play, and T1, with this composition, have a fair amount of backline threat while providing incredible amount of safety for their two carries in Guma and Faker. The Brion comp, I gotta say that the Kench to me, I don't love it. I think that wanting to buy safety for Henna and with how good Aphelios is at the moment makes sense, but looking at the top half of the map, this is the type of comp that wants to go in, right? And yes, you're playing into Zai, you're playing into Poppy and Azir, and that's going to be tough, but the Kench to me kind of falls flat because it means that the only reliable way you have of starting engages is Umpty going in, and like going into the amount of disengage that T1 have is going to be really, really tough. And having a surefire button, like even the set, I would have been more on board with, because then at least when T1 pulls the trigger, you can counter-engage.
Yeah.
The Kench will help out Henna in trying to make plays, but I'm a little worried that it might also lead Brion to be a little bit too passive in the mid and late game.
Not to mention the fact that T1 knows all about how Effort plays Kench. And by T1, I mean Faker and Bengi. Because the rest of them were not there when Effort was there. But of course, when he was playing for T1, or SKT at the time, Effort was very much the I'm going to play some Tahm Kench kind of guy there towards the bottom side of the map. I think OK Savings Bank Brion's composition makes little to no sense to me after the second couple of picks. So we'll just have to see what they have to show for how these champions do work together. T1, pretty stock standard stuff. I very much like the Gragas there towards the top side. We know Zeus only lost for the first time on this champion in their previous series. Actually crazy stuff. As let's jump onto the Rift here, the game number 1. Seems to me like the majority of LoL Park are T1 fans, although we are on the T1 side of the stadium at this point in time, and so perhaps in our ears it did seem louder. I imagine that the bro memento will roll on forward as this series progresses. As Ivory just hanging out here, setting up the 5-point defense system, the bros, and we'll just see. Because here on the bottom side of the map, I feel like Gumayusi Keria are going to be very, very happy. And Ivory, not in the greatest of matchups as well, as Effort is going to lick Keria just a little. And then not a whole lot is going to ensue. Clear out the ward, get that little bit of added experience. Is that Popstar Ari? It's been a while since I've seen it.
It has been a very long time.
That came out like just before KDA Ari, and then it was like, is Popstar Ari redundant now? Because that was the celebration of the opening of the Korean server, I believe, Popstar Ari.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to say there was a pretty substantial gap between the two, no?
I mean, if it is the celebration of the opening of the Korean server, I would say that it is probably a decent margin between then and what,
I don't know, years all blend together. Yeah, it was 2018.
Yeah. No, it definitely does blend together. And it was me remembering that that was the reason that skin came out that is alluding to how
Oner
is. Yeah, Oner is just going to come forward. That is going to be a heroic charge, and Umpty's going to have to flash. Man, I mean, Lollipoppy was scary anyway, but this is, okay, never mind. Umpty's going to at least be able to take down the big wolf. But still, no flash for Umpty is not great news, as Oner is going to continue his onslaught as he heads towards the mid lane, taxiing through with that heroic charge, and Ari is not doing very well.
I was about to say, he should just continue going in here, should at the very least be able to take away a red buff. Umpty will pick up most of his chickens, but bottom half of the jungle not going to belong to him. We'll see if Faker, who doesn't currently have a ward, will be able to track where Umpty goes. Expectation, as we see the pings, is that Umpty will go towards the top half of the map.
I actually really like this from Umpty. We know that there is no vision, so it feels like a much better choice, but not like refusing to be bullied, I think is a really good sign. Even if there was vision there, I'd like it if he was doing it, because what Bro have done is just have really slow games and not really do too much. Much like what we saw from Condom Freaks in our previous series, and I want to see them make proactive plays and refuse to be bullied.
So, yeah, this is what I was wondering. Can they actually get away big enough to dive here? Like, looking at the health bars, I don't think that's really a possibility. And we'll see whether they want to go for it, but it doesn't look like it. And yeah, with some still available, I think this is the best choice here for T1. They are aware, we see the question mark pings go down, that Umti's probably on the top half of the map. And Umti is going to be completely fine here, right? Because he got his big wolf.
Yeah.
Then was also able to pick up his chickens. Kind of fine here. And the flash early is nice, but by itself not going to be enough to build a lead for Oner.
Ooh, Zeus possibly in trouble here, as that's a really nice body slam. Of course, that is why you pick the Gragas in this matchup. It's not going to work out, though, because Jack Sejuani is just that little bit too strong, and there is the Lord's first blood.
And T1, as mentioned, they had a suspicion that Umti was on the top half, but not necessarily a confirmation. It seems like that is going to be a painful start of the game here. Zeus will be able to pick up this wave, fortunately for him, but the invade actually working out, and then Brion still coming out ahead of top spells. Great things for them, and kind of continue some of the struggle that T1 has been facing.
It's not, Ivory is, on the verge of being solo killed here in this mid lane. Faker still has teleport, still has a large amount of health as well, and so is very, very happy sending Ivory home early. Inopportune back timings. Doing fine as far as farm is concerned, and does get a full set of Lucidity boots before he gets out here once more. But Faker is going to have a much better back. As we check out Umti's little gank here, that worked out very, very nicely. You can see the body slam doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Unfortunately, when there is a large boar and a lady with a flail, you're going to still have
just dead. Yeah, as all.
Things happen here towards this bottom side. Hannah flashed. We did catch that, and thankfully, so did Jonah Strong.
Flash for flash. It's a big win for T1. Obviously, Keria going to have a lot more safety, as Oner still looking.
Yeah, Oner was like, do you need help? And Faker's like, nah, I'm good. Okay, Arctic Assault here onto the Poppy. She will get stunned up. Ivory, of course, doesn't exactly have a massive health bar, as Faker is coming down as well.
We are roaming.
Yeah, Keria in position, but Umti once again, I think, is going to win out on a smite fight. Nicely done. Good charm here from Ivory onto Faker.
This is post-TP as well. And T1 is really trying to make these early plays work, and isn't really coming true.
They are getting matched.
Yeah,
like, pretty consistently. It's impressive by the bros.
It's not even matched. Like, bros actually coming out on top, and these are small moments, right? Like, there is still a lot of team fighting power for T1. I don't want to Guma
gonna get knocked up here as Henna red white guns pretty dangerous on this Ophelio. It's not a lot of mana remaining at this point in time, and effort does take a large portion of his health bar, but you can see Sejuani able to move up, grab another slice of some shellfish here in front of the river.
The main thing is that with T1 investing so heavily in trying to make some of these early plays work, and none of them actually working out, and Umti being able to be simultaneously ahead in farm, as Oner does get spotted in the top half, so they know that they can take this Drake for free, while simultaneously getting, like, he got the Wolves, he got the Raptors, now he got the Raptors here again, means that Brion is looking at a nice lead, picks up an early Dragon for themselves as well.
Very nicely done. Umti finishes that one off. It does get level 6. Not exactly a relevant level for his Sejuani. As he says, will still be very, very dangerous as this game continues. And in goes Keria. Not going to quite find Henna here with that one, of course, trying to utilize the fact that his flash is now on cooldown, but Henna does the walking fast thing, and that is going to be enough to get him out of the way of the grand entrance.
Is one of the things that one can do.
Yeah,
he didn't even walk really fast because he didn't have Ghost.
Nope. It's just the pretty quick walking with the brown bags type situation.
And curious to see what will happen once we get into these first skirmishes. Do you think that either team has a lot of great tools for setting up, right? These single target CC on Brion kind of speaks for itself. Between Umti starting off a fight, Ivory following up, Morgan getting backline access, all really, really big. But the team fight setup that T1 have, their ability to split up a fight and punish overextensions is really, really strong. We'll see whether that's going to be the case. Oner using Phase Rush to get away, but right now with the earlier roam, Brion at the very least are going to start up the objective here, and I wonder, it looks like they're just going to get it for free. And they got Drake as well. Brion running the early game here.
This is very impressive from Bro, and this is exactly the question that we were asking, right? Like, what does that one victory mean for the Bros? being able to put them back on track, potentially giving them that level of confidence that we saw just was not there in their previous series. And look, it's a lot of hyperbole, it's a lot of me saying things that may not necessarily be true, and on paper, T1 should be a way better team. But right now, and it's a 500 gold lead. They've got enough Belios for the late game. They've got a Jax that wins in sides. They have Sejuani that's good setup. And T1 is probably now going to take a significant gold lead by making a better play than them on this bottom side. But let's see what happens as this game continues, because I'm not ready to write off the Bros just yet.
And I don't think you should. Although, when we talk about the Jax, I do have a lot of faith in Zeus. I think that specifically the AP variant of Charm.
Yeah, Charm is very good, and Ivory holds on to the Spirit Rush.
Yeah, so one Steel. Not afraid at all. No. You know, he might not have the experience, but does have nerves of steel, as you point out. What I do think is that Zeus, when it comes specifically to the AP Gragas, should be able to win a lot of these shorter trades, but obviously Morgan is able to get the extension, as we saw there, get a counter-strike off, then life becomes a lot harder. Also went for the Merc Treads, which are a big boon. And we have seen Breon in the past as well.
Okay, bit of a cask into collect the barrel type situation. And Morgan says, I'm still happy to fight you, and isn't too worried about the whole situation. He's got Umpty here on this top side of the map as well. I think Zeus probably has an inkling that is the case, as the Sejuani continuing to play aggressively. Oner does clear his red buff, but just barely. Pings come out as over the wall goes Umpty, and just continuing to put the pressure on. Permafrost is good here onto the Poppy, as Morgan throws out an ulti in this top lane.
Yeah, key thing here is that Ivory's early on the roam.
Yeah, can he land the charm? That is the question. Very young players. There is the ult from Oner, and now heroic charge onto Ivory, as he's going to have to try and get out of there. Decides instead that he can just walk and everything's all right. Still waiting for that ultimate to come through, but doesn't really seem to worry about it, as Faker is going to have some free time with his outer turret in the mid lane, and that is what happens when the play does not necessarily work. Moonlight Vigil coming down onto Gumayusi here on this bottom side. T1 do have the level advantage, but you can see that is good damage coming out from Henner, as Ivory once again looking for an angle. Bro, Umpty's going to wait for him. It's a great charm from Ivory. He dodges the Emperor's Divide. Foxfire comes through. There's another Spirit Rush, and Faker has to flash.
And I like the play for plates from Faker, but you got to know that the collapse is imminent when you play that far forward, and he has to pay with it for his flash, as not going to get the cancel his effort.
Rakan pretty good at channeling it back, to be honest, with that shield that he always seems to have.
Oh yeah, Guma should be fine here, but does not get his back off. And again, this game is kind of tough to talk about because not that much has happened. Breon have been winning, but most of the plays have been pretty small. But the main takeaway is that, again, I want to call back to what T1 looked like throughout the entirety of spring, what this team looked like even at MSI, which was decisive early games where they were able to generate early leads. This time around, not so much, as Umpty waiting in the trap here.
Yeah, he could get sandwiched here by the Azir and the Poppy. Good charm once again from Ivory, though. What happened to this player? Because we were commentating a lot of Ivory in Challenger, and he was struggling. You know, like, he's booked a loss on the Nico. He's got a couple of victories under his belt. He was 2 for 2, I believe. 2 out of 4 victories in the summer season. But last season wasn't necessarily one of the players that we were really excited about watching, as Henna on fire as he goes home, wondering what's going on there. Asks Boris for a fire extinguisher, and Boris gives him one, I guess. You get those for free, as it turns out. But Ivory has been pretty cool, calm, and collected so far in this early game, and he did mention, actually, that he's less nervous here in the LCK than he was in Challenger. Which is an odd quote. He said it himself. Yeah, I don't know.
You just accept that. You don't question it. You don't ask him why, because maybe if he thinks too much about it, it's going to
make him nervous.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to backfire.
Ask him after the series, or after the season, as Faker is going to dive forward. Ivory's going to get picked up, not going to get bumped into the wall, but still going to be taken down here, as Oner picks up T1's first kill. But it could be the second for Bro as well, as Umpty. He's flashing forward, but he's slowed down. Zeus is toying with them here as he's walking the opposite direction, but there is a Poppy making her way up. And Umpty, he's going to face check here. You can see the Jax now has to get out of there. Heroic charge is good yet again. Not a lot of damage coming out from Oner. But you can see Umpty's health bar is not very large. And now Morgan is going to be smoked as now he looks to turn it. There is the counter strike. Steadfast Presence comes in. Teleport from Ivory as he's out of the death chamber and into the fire here as he's full health and he does come down, but it is the Lord falling first. Keria not going to be here in time as it's a double kill for the young player, doubling his kills here in the LCK.
Oh, and the overconfidence hurts T1 there. Brion with a beautiful extension on the play there, because initially it's Zeus getting the better hand of that, right? Mid-lane play, Faker and Oner going in, get a clean kill. Very well set up, and this Ivory caught off guard, has his flash available. I think his ultimate up until the end there as well, but while that is happening, on the top half of the map, Zeus is able to survive this 1v2, right? And could have been fine. They could have walked this off as soon as Oner arrives. They could have ended the play, but T1 wants more. So they go in, obviously have a big health bar advantage to Oner, but you gotta be imagining it. Umpty's, his Sunfire cape is feeling good off of that one. He's been stacking up the damage, and we do see, like, the health bar advantage doesn't mean anything. Umpty and Oner, or Umpty and Morgan rather, have so much set up with this combination of the Jax and the Sejuani, showcasing why it was picked even into the Poppy. And while all of that was great, it did mean that Hannah had to rotate mid to catch the wave. And that meant that Guma just got a free turret. So by the end of it, it is favorable for T1. I'm not sure how, but if you're a T1 fan, you'll take it.
You will. Tower falling down, that is first brick going over to T1 as well. They got a fair few plates down there as well. Not all of them, as it was post 14 minutes that the tower did fall down. As now Morgan dealing with a turret here, as Zeus just having a great time. He can clear waves very comfortably, has his Everfrost now completed. And so it's more of that AP variety at this point in time. Of course, it's taken Comet, so that's a bit of a giveaway that it is a bit more damage to come through from this Gragas. What we do generally see into the Jax. As Oner clearing out vision. We'll see where this Rift Herald is going to go, because Faker is now parked on the top side, and this is where experience tends to really rear its head in series like
We saw it last series.
Yeah, exactly. Because mid-game rotations and being able to understand where you're supposed to be to get the most money out of the Rift is what separates our best teams from our newer teams.
Exactly. So given that you have Umpty and Effort on one team, they definitely should be able to...
Oh, precisely. So
that's where you're going, right?
T1 fans need to be very wary of all of the experience that Bro have. Obviously. Yeah. I think they're fair.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
As mid lane turret might fall here, really big map control gain for T1. We did see an initial flank step from Umpty, but doesn't decide to go for it.
And can they get another charge? It looks like they are going to get another charge. And then we need to even ask the question, but can they actually fully complete this turret? Looks like the answer is going to be no. They do set it up for a future push. And the Sun Disc going to be there as well as, okay, the Ahri going to be dealt with underneath this turret there. She has to flash, but it's not going to be enough. And Zeus, that's how you deal with a new player. As Ivory just caught off guard, this Gragas really starting to pop off in this game.
Zeus is up 20 CS while he's been ganked twice.
Yeah.
And he just got a solo bolo on Ivory as well.
I mean, honestly, like, that's just Zeus being super good at Gragas. I don't even think we need to mention the level of experience of Ivory. Sometimes you're just there when your minion wave gets obliterated with flash and ult available, and that is not enough to save you.
As we'll now see the side of T1 start building up the gold lead. Also, Guma did go for, we haven't really talked about his build yet, but did go for quick blades first as we get the first person view. See what he has to say.
Ahri
no flash.
Yeah. When there's no tenacity, right? Ivory went for lucidity boots. Doesn't have mercs, and the Everfrost hits can set up the combo easy as that. And we will see as the topside turret gets taken by Bria. The Drake gets picked up. That is the first Infernal Drake picked up here, and that is a big one.
That is Infernal Soul this time around. Not a lot of walls for Oner to utilize. but Faker can put them up for himself. As second item, Lord Doms to come through here for Gumayusi. Wants to make sure that these big tanky champions are not going to be as much of an issue. Of course, Umpty with his Frost Armor is one of those. As Umpty does have Radiant Virtue complete, hasn't put his Sunfire Cape together, so doesn't have the best item in the game just yet.
Yeah, just Bombies, which, while good, not nearly as oppressive.
Not enough. Got to get that one stacking up. And I think a lot of the bro eggs, as they have been the majority of the season, are in the Henna basket. We've seen Aphelios do fantastic things, but I think with different nameplates, we might be thinking different things, right? Henna's really going to have to show the level of improvement that he's put in, as Umpty possibly out of position. Ivory very far away from this particular fight as effort, wanting to keep them interested. There is an ultimate to come through, but Keria not going to be too perturbed by it right now as Morgan is doing battle with the solo laners on the top side. There is a flash out from Oner. Everfrost does come forward. The quickness is fantastic though, and they just obliterate the Ahri. Heroic charge comes through yet again, and effort does have to use the Devour onto Henna. The heal is going to be used for the extra movement speed as Everett has to flash. The Abyssal Dive does get him out of there, but Morgan and Ivory not going to be so lucky.
TP finding no one there, unfortunately, for Zeus, but they'll take it. That is a big team fight win. And it starts off with, on the top half of the map, the teleport coming in from Faker as Morgan tries to look for the all-in on this Gragas. And the double scoop-de-whoop combo gets Morgan. He gets taken down, and then it should feel like, on the flip side, you're up a member. Right, so Breon, understandably, try and push their advantage as much as they can. But look at the extension here that T1 is able to find. A lot of damage goes down into Oner, the tank, who doesn't particularly care. And then as Ivory dashes forward, even with them getting the charm, doesn't matter because Keria with the quickness into knock-up on Henna is able to CC the entirety of the team. Effort doesn't really get the opportunity, gets his ultimate off, but at that point it's too little, too late.
Yeah.
And with that, T1 take a big lead, and Brian should count themselves lucky that there was no Baron up yet, because I'm pretty sure they would have gone for it.
They might go for it now, because Baron has been up for now 45 seconds, and it is T1's favorite place on the map. Even though the game has not necessarily been the fastest one, they don't have the most massive gold lead, although 3,000 isn't bad for 21 minutes into the game. It could certainly be on their mind, as Nash's Tooth now completed here for Faker, as Ivory will find a charm onto Oner and does a small portion of his health bar in damage and then walks away. Okay, Everfrost not going to get the stun, as now Gumayusi come down here towards his bottom side. Thankfully, there is this ability called Counter-Strike, which is pretty powerful for the Jax, and so Morgan will be able to walk his way out of this one. But the Jax losing inside lanes to even just Gragas at this point in time is not a great sign here for Bro. 40 CS the lead here for Zeus. He's having a field day on his Gragas today.
Did go for the Oblivion Orb. I haven't really... Oh, Henna. Uh-oh.
Oh, dear. Well, that's a blast cone.
Yeah, it's fine. So, Zeus is looking to go for stopwatch. Zhonya's second. Did pick up his early orb, and I thought he was going to go for Morelos' Oner.
Okay, possibly out of position, but Faker is going to come down. Going to have his crown broken here, but not going to take any damage. As there's the Emperor's Divide, he scoops them over the wall, and Keria is going to CC them up, but Faker is the one that dies, and now Bro are on the attack. Goodbye, Sejuani, but you don't have multiple ults. And the Orbit Deception is going to be good. Keria trying to get some work done yet again, but Ivory, he's going to flash. The Heroic Charge does nothing, and the Poppy is licked to death. Oh, it's Lollipoppy as well. It kind of makes some sense, and now it's Baron time for Bro.
Zeus wasn't there. They didn't have the damage, they didn't have the follow-up, and now Breon starting up the Baron here.
Zeus is very, very strong, but they don't have Smite. As in goes the counter-striking Morgan. He's going to flash to get out of the way of the Everfrost, but that is Baron going over to Bro. Ivory is going to die, but can they get these Baron buffs out of the pit is the question, as Henna says he doesn't care. He's just going to kill them. Has teleport to come forward from Faker, and now he's looking for Umpty, but there is still a turret up here. And the Sejuani just looking to empower that recall and go on home. We got a game on our hands.
And that started feeling off like T1 had found the game-breaking angle, a play like this, because it's a 4 versus 4, right? But crucially, the damage just isn't there. And who do you hit? You hit Umpty, who doesn't care, and Ivory Faker gets stuck. Hannah with red-white gets on top of him, and a crucial mistake of the T1 mid laner, as there is no follow-up, and immediately afterwards, you see the turn attempt, but the flashes are great, and Oner dying means that the Baron is all but guaranteed. Zeus, one of your most fat members and one of your big damage threats, wasn't actually there. And then T1 able to get something out of this, but not gonna feel super happy about that. If they can get a soul point here, that would help out somewhat, but Brion in prime position here.
And you know what this does? It provides time for Morgan to just get stronger and stronger and stronger in these side lanes. And you can see that T1 not actually confident enough to go for this dragon with Bro lurking in the outskirts. And the good thing for Bro is that they did have Morgan there, getting pressure in a side lane in that meantime. So they're going to utilize the Baron buff that they picked up to start off this Drake. As Umpty, does he have the smite? Yes, he does. And he can Arctic Assault over that wall if he would like to. Decides to hold off just for the moment. As Zeus with a bit of a bomber here towards the bottom lane, but it is just a parting gift. 1,000 gold. Look at this. Like, I mean, the Baron power play is not the most massive. Like, 3-digit doesn't necessarily make us all that excited. However, the gold lead that you can see at the top of your screen has been diminished considerably.
When you fit, it truly just is a takeaway. It's a takeaway Baron, Atlas. You know, you order it when you're not feeling like cooking.
Yeah.
Like, I want to stay in tonight. Most importantly, it denies it from T1. That was the last one. You got the good deal. And it means that Brion, as we have mentioned,
there's no more Baron?
Well, you know, they'll replenish, but they have to order new ones. It'll take a little bit of time.
So it's like Wolf's Pizza.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is exactly like that.
Yeah. Because like they wouldn't restock it. It's so good, and I just really need more. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. Shout out to Wolf's Pizza.
I'm down for pizza talk. You know that it's about 3.5 minutes before we get close to a fight over this next objective. Although Guma in the mid lane might be a tasty treat, but more importantly, we're seeing Brion actually match. And with how these two compositions play out, I'm still going to favor T1. I think that the front to back and the amount of ability to put a team fight in their favor, like between the Rakan, between the Azir, Poppy, and the Gragas, like you have 3 ultimates that can completely change the course of a fight, and you have the initiation that the Rakan provides. But it is up to T1 to actually execute on that, and they need the damage from either Zeus, either Faker, or Guma to actually pull through. And if they don't, if it's Brion that starts up a fight, like whoever gets CC'd, unless it's Oner, probably dies.
Yeah.
But the amount of lockdown and single target burst that's available for Brion, life can get very, very tough here for T1. 2 against 2 in Drakes as well.
I think there's one major thing that I want to take away, and it is the fact that you look at the top of that screen, it is 2 Drakes and 6 kills for both of these squads. This is Bro versus T1.
Yeah.
And if you're a Bro fan, like, it doesn't, like, you're still very happy tonight, regardless of any outcome.
They lost to Notion, and here they are.
Exactly.
Here they are, Atlas.
And honestly, like, I'm just pretty happy with how our teams have looked today, right? Because yesterday, we had stomps that made one team look a little bit silly versus another team that just seemed to gather a win like it was just another day at work. This is teams having to work for each of their victories. And yes, Armor Life Esports walk away with a 2-0, but we know that it didn't look like that during the game. They had to work very hard to pick that one up against Kwangdong Freaks, so hats off to them. And now hats off to Bro for keeping it competitive here at 27 minutes. If they do manage to find the gap, Gumayusi caught out of position there a little bit. And by caught out of position, I mean Umpty. Like, he went into the practice tool, I think, for like the last 36 hours and was just aiming ultimates on Sejuani.
So that's, Hillbreaker, or Hillbreaker Jax is not going to really care.
Did you say Hellbreaker Jax?
I mean, that'd be a cool skin, but...
It would be.
I think that's just a bad pronunciation on my part.
Yeah.
But is able to, with the lack of Magic Pen on Zeus' builds, right, do a lot of damage in these extended trades, and obviously gonna help a little bit when you do finish the Morellos, but I don't really expect Zeus, and this is with a level lead as well, to regain control of that matchup. Should be able to neutralize, sure, but actually getting Cryo is going to be a whole lot harder, so more pressure on Faker to do a good job here in this side lane. Both him and Ivory sitting on shields.
Doesn't matter who you are not safe from Jonah Strong if you miss a cannon hit.
Oh, it doesn't matter. He is truly a man of the people.
Oh, yes. Keeps everyone honest, no matter who you are. As Faker still 8 away from his 4,500th assist, by the way. The scoreline not necessarily full of assists, as there have only been 6 kills in this game. Hopefully this series is a time where we will be able to bring up that lower third that I know the team's come up with. Oh, they get the flash out from Effort. I don't even know whether he necessarily needed to. I felt like he reacted pretty quickly there. As Umpty not going to be stunned by the heroic charge either. And he's very tanky, especially with that Frost armor procced. And you can see just very happy to stand up in this lane. Not sure whether it's a great idea because he loses half his health.
Yeah, there's Lord Dom's, Kraken Slayer and Void. So definitely don't. Keria!
All right, looks for the backline. He finds both. Emperor's Divide delivers them into the open arms of the team. Gumayusi going to be able to take down Effort here as Morgan off in a side lane. We're just going to poke our head in to see what's going on. And in the blink of an eye, T1 eradicate, bro, their bottom lane.
Oh, Faker.
Oh, he's going to have his crown broken here. Does a lot of work before it needs to, before it does go away, though.
Oh, Oner on a crown value here. Meanwhile, Zeus is threatening as well. If they can deny this
the charm goes wide as now Ivory has to get out of there. Flashes to get away from Faker, who just says no. That is Baron going over to T1 at the same time. And this is where the bro backs have been broken. Wow, that was a lot of bro in that sentence, as this and Drake is going to go to the hands of T1 as well.
Like, they get Nash and they get Soul Point. You're not really allowed to get both. And this Keria with a hero player sets it up. 2-man taunt into knockup. Breon is not ready because they were setting up a play for themselves. Umpty and Ivory were looking for the collapse.
And as soon as they see that Effort flashed, that's when Keria is like, all right, here we go, boys. It's time to win this game. And it had been so slow and calculated, and then all of a sudden the whole thing breaks apart.
And Ivory there not able to contain his nerves, going for a very proactive hero play, but doesn't end up working out at all.
Still, they are going to get the siege working here towards this top side of the map. Faker taking a little bit of Inferno damage there from Henna, but isn't too worried about it for now. As we've got pings towards this mid lane inhibitor turret. Keria on a control ward, and are just rotating over. The inner turret not long for the world. And I think the bottom lane one is also probably just going to go as well if they decide that that's where they want to roam down to. T1 generally a bit by the numbers when it comes to getting these sieges working, but it does certainly work out for them as Ivory going to watch as Keria does disappear. Clears out some vision quite nicely. So Bruce base, not dead yet, right? But it is still 7,000 gold the lead. T1 do have Infernal Soul Point. And Zeus is going to find Ari, who will charm him up. Nice little Everfrost there as well. Zeus says, cheers, and walks away.
And Ivory with the bet, she's not gonna feel too threatened by... It doesn't really matter how long, you know, the barrel lays there. It's not really gonna get the effect that you're looking for. Death cap now done here for Faker as well, and we saw already his DPS is ramping up and up and up. The Nashor's build with Conqueror gonna do so long in these long, drawn-out, extended fights, and really showcasing, right, what the Azir rework kind of meant. All about the late game, all about the poke. His Oner.
Yep, Umpty is going to walk away from this one. As it turns out, Frost Armor is pretty good. He does have Aftershock as well if he needs it, as now Oner just searching for a target. Gonna get a charm onto Oner is Ivory, but they just walk in the front door and they will take down this inhibitor.
Well, it's TP. There is a forward behind them.
Zeus did go back. Morgan going to join just a little bit late to try and save his inhibitor turret, but the Baron is going to wear off in 10 seconds time, and Bro do just lose one of their inhibs. Still, it is a 9,000 gold lead, and it really did feel like that Baron play was the backbreaker, because Bro's Baron power play, that was about 800 gold. This one, about 5,000 gold in favor of T1.
And T1 in the early game, not quite able to get a lot of their plays to actually work out. Credit to Breon, right, for the presence of mind from Umpty. The early game pathing working out nicely. The 2v2 between him and Morgan looked great, but all it takes against T1 was one mistake.
Have we seen a double Flame Horizon? Because what does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
we're not there yet.
We're getting very close.
We're approaching. It's 5 CS here for Zeus, and it is 8 for Faker.
Is that an Infernal Horizon?
Ooh, I don't know.
It's, you know, double flame.
I think it's just like 2 flames Horizon.
2 flames horizoning?
Yeah, it's like flame and a mirror. Flame looking at himself in a mirror. That's the Horizon.
I mean, I get it.
Yeah, I don't.
You're the one who said it!
I was asking you. I didn't know what it meant. But we may actually see it happen, as one of them very, very close. Nope, just barely misses out on the angle, as T1 are just denying so many resources to Bro. It's very difficult for them to farm. Still, I mean, Jackson's got 3 items. He's got a stopwatch now. That's a pretty good one. 4 items done. 4 items done for Henner as well.
Not alone.
Okay, he is gonna. Oh my goodness! Wow, Umti is a tank, right? Oh! There's the ulti. Gumayusi just stands his ground. Featherstorm comes in. Ivory off to the side. It's a big Moonlight Vigil. Fair bit of damage onto Gumayusi there. Who calls back the blades, and T1 just a little bit of limit testing there, making people nervous.
Crucially though, Umti doesn't have Warmorks. Is forced to go back, and as a result, T1 get full setup around this Infernal Drake, 10 seconds till it spawns, but no vision gonna be available for them. Umti will be making his way back, so it's still a possibility.
Yeah, and it's taking so much damage here from Faker, who still has his crown intact. Umti.
Zeus on the catch.
Yeah, coming back around again as he puts down the barrel into the brush. Umti doesn't seem too phased by it, as we can see, but the dragon is now being started. Bro not wanting to give over Infernal Soul, and now looking to fight. Morgan on the flank, but there is the Drake gone, and Bro just a little bit late on this one. Morgan has to leap, strike away, does have flash. Should be okay.
Infernal
But Bro,
Soul.
oh yeah, this is so scary. They already had way too much damage. Now they have even more of that too much damage. Zeus off to the side. Oner taking a little bit there. You can see Bro backing off towards this Baron that is spawning, but their base is open. There are 2 Nexus turrets away from the game being over, and Baron for Nexus is a trade that we've seen never work out for the team taking the Baron. They are still going to start it up.
Hail Mary, you got to try and find a catch. Ivory on the flank.
Absolutely. Can he find this charm is the question. There it is, on to the jungle, and the Jax just dies. He disintegrated before anything could happen. Henner is dead as well. Bro went for it. It did not work. Faker's going to flash the ult from Umti and just eviscerates his opposite number. Bro, they gave it a red hot crack, and honestly, I'm impressed. But T1, just the better team in the end. That fight around the Baron in the mid game, too good here for the veteran squad, and they will just walk it up this mid lane and lock up game 1.
T1 going to get the win here, but man,
they had to work for it.
I was
for it.